Greetings. Welcome to the Soul Whisp. I'm your storyteller, Carlisle Munson. Today's story is called The Quilt. In the quiet of a September evening in 2005, in a small Ohio town where maples blazed red and the air carried the faint smoke of leaf piles, Miriam Holt, 48, sat on her porch, a patchwork quilt draped over her lap. The quilt, its squares faded from years of use, was her mother's work, stitched during Miriam's college years, each patch a prayer, a worry, a love she hadn't understood then. Miriam's hands traced the seams, her thoughts drifting to 1975 when she was 18, leaving for Ohio State, and her mother Evelyn stood in this same house, broken by her departure. Miriam had been eager, her suitcase packed with bell-bottoms and dreams of becoming a teacher. She'd grown up in this clapboard house, where the kitchen smelled of cinnamon and her mother's laughter filled the evenings. But that summer, Evelyn's eyes grew shadowed, her hands restless, folding and refolding dish towels as Miriam talked of dorms and lecture halls. "You'll be fine," Evelyn said, her voice tight, but Miriam saw the cracks, her mother's forced smiles, the way she'd linger by the door clutching a coffee mug. The night before Miriam left, Evelyn gave her the quilt, its patches sewn from old dresses, curtains, even her father's work shirts. "It's to keep you warm," Evelyn said, but her eyes said, "It's to keep you mine." In Columbus, Miriam thrived. Late-night study sessions, coffee with friends, falling for a boy who played guitar under the campus oaks. But her calls home grew shorter, her visits rarer. Evelyn's letters, full of small-town news, Mrs. Carter's roses, the church bake sale, felt like weights. When Miriam came home for Christmas, Evelyn was thinner, her laughter brittle. "I'm proud," she'd say, but her hands trembled, stitching another square onto a new quilt, as if sewing could hold her daughter close. Miriam didn't see it then. Her leaving had broken something in Evelyn, not because she left, but because Evelyn feared she'd never return. Now Miriam understood. Her own daughter, Lily, 19, was packing to move to Cleveland, not for college, but to live with her boyfriend, a mechanic with kind eyes and oil-stained hands. The news had landed like a stone in Miriam's chest. She'd sat at the kitchen table where she now taught high school English papers, watching Lily bubble about their apartment, their plans. "We're in love, Mom," Lily said, her smile bright as Miriam's had been at 18. But Miriam felt the old ache, Evelyn's ache, rising like a tide. She wanted to say, "Stay, you're too young. What if he breaks you?" Instead, she nodded, her hands clutching the quilt, its stitches a map of her own leaving. That evening, as crickets sang and the porch light buzzed, Miriam's thoughts wove past and present. She remembered Evelyn's last years, after a stroke took her at 62. Miriam had found a box of letters Evelyn never sent, full of unspoken fears. "I'm afraid you'll forget me, Miriam. This house feels empty without you." Miriam had wept, realizing her mother's brokenness wasn't anger, but love, stretched thin by distance. Now, with Lily's boxes stacked by the door, Miriam felt that same stretch, her heart a thread pulled taut. She called Lily outside. The girl, her dark hair loose, sat beside her, the quilt between them. "I was your age when I left for college," Miriam said, her voice soft. "Your grandma gave me this. She was so proud, but she was broken too. I didn't see it then. I thought leaving was just growing up." Lily's eyes, so like Evelyn's, softened. "You're not broken, Mom. I'm not going far. I'll call. Miriam smiled, tears prickling. I know, but it feels like losing you, like I lost her in a way. She smoothed the quilt, its patches holding stories, Evelyn's Sunday dresses, Miriam's prom skirt, a square from Lily's baby blanket. This kept me warm, kept her close. I want you to have it now. Lily hesitated, then pulled the quilt to her chest, her fingers tracing a patch from her childhood. I'll keep it safe, she said, her voice thick. As Lily drove off the next morning, her boyfriend's truck rattling down the street, Miriam stood on the porch, the emptiness sharp. But she thought of Evelyn, who'd let her go despite the pain, and of the quilt, now carrying their love to Lily. A proverb her mother once said surfaced, "Love holds tightest when you let it go." Miriam whispered it to the maples, feeling its truth. Lily would return, not to stay, but to share her life, as Miriam had with Evelyn, too late, but not in vain. The house was quiet, but not empty. It held their stories, stitched into time. Thank you for listening to my story. Till next time, may God smile on you and bless you.